Waters presents On the Box.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of On the Box, and we're going to show you the intro. No, there we are. There we go. Yeah, folks, we're having some technical issues today. Not here on our end. We've got a great team who knows how to handle those things. But unfortunately, Ustream is down, and we don't know why. They're trying to effort that situation now.
Ustream is dried up.
The Ustream is dried up. So
For living waters.
But the show must go on, so we are recording this program. We will broadcast it as soon as Ustream is back up. Wish there was another way for us to let you folks know who I'm sure are trying to get into the chat room and are probably emailing everybody what's wrong, and you can't even hear me right now. But this will all
pan out.
This will all pan out. All of it will come together in just a few minutes.
Speaking of coming together,
Yes, sir.
yesterday Scotty said that I had a wig, and you said, "Oh, Ray, where's the toupee?" No, da da da.
Yeah, actually,
let me just
he used the word toupee.
He did not, did he?
He used it, right? Yeah, I'm gonna.
We'll check
make
on
sure
that.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, let me qualify it. This is what he was referring to.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sure, that's what he was referring to.
This is my wig, and
Ray, there's things coming out of that.
You want to put it on?
No, Ray.
Neither do I. So just
Chad wants to put that
don't
on,
start
but
a-
we won't go there.
Yeah.
No, we won't
We
go
don't
there.
wanna start
Speaking
any
of Chad,
Yeah.
Chad, how you doing, man?
Doing good?
Great.
Well, why'd you go into that in such depth?
You know, he is a man of many words,
Just don't know what happened.
except when I ask him a question.
Yeah.
Then it's great. Yeah. So, hey, did you hit the streets with Mike Stockwell last night?
No. I hung out with my wife.
Oh, tell
All right,
us,
well,
tell
that's
us
good.
about it. Tell
Yeah.
us about it.
Yeah,
We
what
watched-
can you tell us?
We ate steak. She made a favorite meal of mine.
Uh-huh.
That was the steak.
Tapatio is a favorite hot sauce of mine that I put on the steak.
Tapatio going to endorse us now?
I don't know. I
No,
don't know.
probably not. No, now, Chad, that's not all you ate last night.
Okay,
What
help
else
me
did-
out here, because
Come
honestly,
on.
sometimes my
It was
memory
it was a
fails
pound
me.
of something.
Oh.
It was in the fridge.
That's right.
It was a late night snack.
That was just before the dinner.
Oh, just before
I
the
was
steak
really,
dinner?
really hungry, and my wife's like, don't make anything too big because we're gonna be eating dinner a little bit. I'm like, don't worry, I'll be able to eat later. So I saw some bacon in the fridge, and it's to my understanding that bacon goes bad really fast. So if you're gonna open up that pack, you better cook the whole thing. So I just threw a pound of bacon on the pan, and she didn't want any, so I ate it all by myself. And, I woke up in the morning tasting
then you-
bacon.
You are what you eat. You know that, Chad.
and then you had a steak dinner.
2 servings. It was for 3 people, and I had 2.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. Kettlebells.
What would happen to you, Ray, if you had a?
I'd explode.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I'd
Kettlebells.
I'd make
Yeah.
a pig of myself if
Yeah.
I had a pound of
It's all
bacon.
about those
I did a kettlebells workout last Thursday,
Okay.
and had some difficult time moving certain parts of my body the following day, and so I'm back to my old man workout for a little bit. Chad can, but then again, there's 2 older men, Alan and Scotty. They're actually older than I am. Much. No,
You're catching up.
I'm
You
catching up.
gotta power through.
Yeah.
You
My
gotta
wife.
power through the tough time.
my wife
It's the
said if I-
lactic acid getting caught in your muscles.
Yeah, I
just
understand.
go,
I understand all that. I remember those things, and my wife says if I let you hurt me, that she's going to be upset.
Come on.
So now I have to decide, who I'm going to be more afraid of, I guess.
Easy says that real men don't even need to use kettlebells.
That's
That's
true.
what he says.
Well, if you took the kettlebell and then you put Easy's arm over it, it's kind of like the hook on a Christmas ornament.
Does
You ever-
anyone know what a kettlebell is? Some of the ladies out there wouldn't have a clue what we're talking about.
I think ladies do use kettlebells too.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't they, Chad? Isn't it like
They
the most
certainly do.
popular-
They make girly ones with like purple colors on them.
Oh, how sweet.
We don't have any of those here.
Well,
Not
you
on
probably
this-
won't get hurt
not
using
on
those
this
ones,
show.
Tony. It's a good start.
Oh.
You can get them at Sports Chalet.
Wow.
We were thinking about doing the show today on, some workouts instead, just because things are going all weird. I could jump up on the table there and
No, we're going to do something else.
Okay.
All right, today's giveaway is Mornings and Evenings with Spurgeon, edited by Larry and Marion Pierce.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Morning. Spurgeon is so consistent. I like to say you can quote Spurgeon even if he talked in his sleep.
Yeah.
Just sit there with a piece of paper and a pen and write down what he'd said. But
Yeah,
an
amazing,
amazing guy.
Amazing man. That's courtesy of Master Books, a division of New Leaf Publications. Since we don't have a live chat room today, when you see the program, email us at onthebox@livingwaters.com, full name, full address, and I will be selecting 3 people to
Randomly.
receive that randomly from my inbox. Yeah.
You wouldn't even know what you're doing when you do it. That's good.
We'll see how that works. Yeah. We'll have someone else point the mouse for me. Okay. Send us your videos, your questions, your complaints, your concerns, your pats on the back.
Yeah, carry on.
Carry on. Okay. On the Box at livingwaters.com and visit us at our blog at onthebox.us. Hey, last week we brought to you an announcement of an opportunity presented to the ministry at an upcoming NASCAR race on March 25th and 26th out here in Fontana, Southern California. We have not completely reached that goal of $35,000, but there is enough there that we're going to take that step of faith to cover the rest, and we're heading to NASCAR on
It's very exciting.
March 25th
And we're going to
26th.
use part of that. We're going to film it for the Ford God in the Bible
Right.
episode for season 5. So that's very exciting.
We're doing quick work on the Dale Earnhardt $1 million bill for that, and
The whole thing's a race to get this done.
the whole thing, yeah, like everything around here, everything's a race to get it done. But look, there's still an opportunity for you to send in your pledges. You can do that at onthebox@livingwaters.com if you would like more interest, or if you're interested in how you can help us out to cover the balance of what is due for this event. $35,000 sounds like it is a lot of money. But the spiritual potential, the thousands and thousands of people who get to hear and receive the gospel over those 2 days, and having needgod.com on a car that's going to be seen on national television, who knows how many people, just out of curiosity, will go to that website, be presented with the gospel, and come to faith in Christ. So it's a very important outreach that we're going to be doing.
I'll try and get the driver to slam on his brakes during the race so they get a close-up of Need God.
No, Ray, at 200 miles an hour,
Okay.
if you slam on the brakes, the guy behind you is going to be rather upset.
Oh, he would.
And
he
in
would
the back seat of your car.
He would need God. God.
Yeah, but one rear end collision and that decal's completely ruined.
Oh, okay, well.
And the car's out of the
I'll
race.
tell him not to do it.
And so we want our racer to win. So, all right, the mailbag. We got a lot from the mailbag. This one's interesting. This one is from an atheist. His name is Paulie.
Just a short email.
It's just a short email. Yeah, it's a little longer, but I thought it was worth reading all of it.
Oh, there's a new graphic by Richard Gunther.
Look at that.
That's
very nice.
You have to. Do you say
Jumping into the mailbag. Let's jump into the mailbag, and now that comes up. All right. My question for you guys is this. This is from Paulie. Don't know where Paulie's from. If you accept microevolution but not macroevolution, then where is the limit that microevolution cannot pass? This basically means how much is a species able to evolve under the terms of microevolution before it cannot evolve anymore. I've heard creationists like you guys say that an animal cannot evolve into a different kind of animal, so I was wondering what you meant by the word kind. In the Linnaeus classification system, species are generally divided up into kingdom, phyla, classes, orders, families, genus, and species. So if you were to say the earlier fossils that we have found, like Homo erectus, fossils, okay, yeah, do not share a common ancestor, then evolution cannot take place beyond the species stage. Still with me? If you're going to make the claim that what you call microevolution, even though there is no difference because evolution is evolution, okay, cannot exist, then it is up to you to prove that evolution cannot exceed beyond a certain point. I see creationists running their mouth constantly.
I wish they would.
Yeah. I see creationists running their mouth constantly about how ridiculous evolution is, despite the enormous body of evidence in favor for it. Like to see that? Without showing any credible evidence as to why they think that way. Answer these questions if you can, and try not to mention how bad a person I am. Focus on all of the problems and holes found in your religion, and try to fill them with whatever you can. But he does close it with, thanks.
That's good.
What do you think, Ray?
Well, let's go to Chad.
Okay.
Well, I think it's funny just kind of playing off of something he just said there. Despite the enormous evidence for evolution,
Yeah,
talk about people running around and running their mouths. Because when you go up to people on the street and they say, there's all this evidence for evolution, and you ask them, okay, Annie up, where is this evidence for evolution? They go, oh, well, you got to open a book. And, ambiguous. This is like the key word here. They're just being ambiguous.
Yeah. Or they say it's in the fossil record.
Yeah, it's in the fossil record. Evolutionists, they can't even agree amongst themselves. We've talked about this a little bit before, the difference between gradualism, essentially believing that we went from particles to people, and punctuated equilibrium, where there's these drastic changes, where it wasn't necessarily particles to people with these gradual, small, incremental steps, but drastic changes that happen violently throughout time. This is a debate that's going on between evolutionists. And another point to be made is Ray and I went to UCLA and we talked to their resident biologist. And we asked him the same questions that we asked people on the street, because I think people have challenged right before, you ask the layman, for evidence for evolution, but why don't you go find a biologist, a professor, and really talk to somebody that knows. And I was sitting there behind the camera, and Ray's asking for some evidence, and the guy is going on and on for about 20 minutes, diverting the question. You're looking at your watch wondering, when is he going to get around to this evidence? And at the end of the day, he just never does.
Yeah.
There isn't any.
Yeah, that's true. It's because there isn't any evidence for species-to-species transitional forms in the fossil record or in creation. Every animal brings forth after its own kind.
Okay, so now part of his question, Ray, is define kind. What is a kind? We have the biblical definition in the Genesis account, but
see, the problem is you can't even use the word species nowadays because it's become so nebulous. There's so many different definitions of the word. Type in species and look at all the different biological definitions of the word species. So that's become totally confusing. So we're stuck with the word kind. Kind means dog is a kind, a cat is a kind, a horse is a kind, a cow is a kind. And every animal brings forth after its own kind. It doesn't change. Paulie is confused between macroevolution and microevolution. Microevolution is a Chihuahua and a Great Dane. There's a difference within the species, within the kind. They are both dogs. Even a little child, a 4-year-old, can look at a Chihuahua and say doggy, and look at a Great Dane and say doggy.
Right.
They know it's within that kind. Do the same thing even with trees and bushes and cats. They're within the feline kind. So,
and one of his questions is, where is the line? Where is the limit? Well, the limit for microevolution would be within the kind. You will never see evolution take place where one kind of animal becomes another kind of animal, correct?
Even the animals know that. They don't mate between kinds. They don't bother. It doesn't matter how attractive a cat looks. A dog won't chase it and try and mate with it. It goes for the female dog, which I was going to say the name of it. But
That's okay. I'm glad you didn't.
Good.
Sure, yeah. Go to Chad. Chad!
Yeah, and a really good point to be made here, too, is this isn't what the Bible is about. The Bible isn't getting wrapped up with the 800 some odd pages that makes up, an average Bible, depending on the size of the text. It's about, who is God and what does God have to do with man, or what does man have to do with God? We fell from God in the beginning, and it's all about redemption. I think there's a book out there on JFK and the 24 hours that led up to the events of his assassination, and the author takes an hour by hour sort of moment, and he says that he still hasn't even hit on all the things that he could hit on in this 24-hour period, and he does it with about the same amount of pages that there is in the Bible. So even though we would like more explanation maybe on specifically what makes a kind, that's not what the Bible's all about. Now, there is a sort of line in the sand, and the one that really matters the most, and that's what you get in Genesis, it's 125 and 126, where God, in his created order, the beasts that he made, he says he made them after their own kind. Now here's the dividing line, though. Genesis 126 says that God made man in his image. God actually breathed into the nostrils of man and brought him into existence. So one major line in the sand that is there is we are not advanced animals. We are totally set apart from that part of the created order. There's a difference between the kind, the beasts on the earth, or the creeping, crawling creatures, and mankind. And that's really where the debate is. That's what evolutionists, want to try and say, is that, here we are, we're particles to people. We come from this primordial soup, and we've become what we are now. And that's where we really take issue. Hey, not so. God created animals, and he created mankind. There's a total difference there, and you can't draw the gap together. It's
Right.
It's Grand Canyon. You can't jump it.
And I've heard them claim that the monkey or the ape, and human, we share 98% of the same DNA, but in that 2% difference, there's something like 2 million different characteristics within that 2%.
Absolutely.
That's a vast difference. That's not even close.
Scotty's an expert on that. Scotty was on yesterday's program, and we tend to think, oh, Scotty, he's just a nice guy, but he's a wealth of knowledge. He's driven me to Huntington Beach to open air preach for about the last 4 years each Saturday, and I sit in awe and listen to him. In fact, for the last 12 rides, I think I've taken the little camera in and just filmed him talking about these things, which we're going to make available as drive-by shootings sometime in the future.
Okay, yeah, I like the title.
Just in reference to what Chad was saying about the creeping insects and the beasts of the earth, there is a difference between man and the creeper-crawling beasts, and even though a lot of people are creeps and beasts, and that's that we are made in God's image, we have a knowledge of right and wrong, we care about justice and truth. And Paulie, I wouldn't tell you what a bad person you are. I'm going to, honor that, but I'll tell you what a bad person I am. Jesus said, if I look at a woman and lust for her, I'll commit adultery with her in my heart. That's the standard God's going to judge me with on the day of judgment. So just thinking of that one commandment, if God's going to judge me by that, knowing that I'm a moral creation, I realized, this is nearly 40 years ago, that I was in big trouble on Judgment Day, and I needed a Savior to save me from hell. And that's when I understood the cross, that Christ died for me, took my punishment, rose again on the third day, and that each of us, Tony, Chad, myself, and everybody, including Paulie, need to repent and trust the Savior to find everlasting life. So the issue really isn't evolution. The issue is, are you going to repent or not?
Yeah. Very true. Okay. All right, with that, we're going to jump out of the mailbag for a second. We'll come back.
We don't have a graphic. We could show it backwards.
That's okay. And we'll come back. We got a few more questions we're going to answer. But first, we want to show you a short video produced by Eddie Roman, our illustrious producer of the Way of the Master television program. He and his friend Clint went out to do some tracking at the car show in Temecula this last weekend. And so let's take a look at this.
Okay, this is Eddie. I've borrowed Ray's behind-the-scenes camera and making breakfast. But today's Saturday, and there is a big car show not too far from me. So what I'm going to be doing is taking a bunch of tracks down to the car show and giving them out. And so what I've done, I've got a bunch of the Remember When tracks. These are great for car shows because at car shows there's usually a lot of elderly folks, and these are kind of nostalgic. And the good thing about these is the text is very large, big print. Elderly folks tend to like those. And what I've done here is on the back of the tracks, there is a little blank space. And so I went and got a stamp. And what I'm doing is I am stamping the website for our church on the back of the track here. So just like this. That's it. And so as you can see on all these tracks, I've already done that. It took me about 10 minutes. My arm is tired, so is my dog. And so anyway, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all these tracks and go give them out. My motto for handing out tracks is always try to give it to someone else to do your job. No, actually I just wanted to film him handing them out. So how you feeling today? Clint, you ready to hand some out?
I am ready to hand out tracks.
All right, so this is Clint. He's making the approach. We're gonna see if anyone takes it. Look at this, all right? And he takes it. Oh, look at this, yes. As easy as pie. Let's see. Oh, did you get one of these? Look at that. Look at this, let's see. Do I want this? Who is this guy with the funny hat? What? Okay, I'll take, well, 2 people with 1 track is better than 2 people with no tracks, I always say, okay? Clint has academy training, so it's hard for him to just give a tract away and not talk to people, but he's doing his best for my camera purposes here. All right, he's making his approach. He's looking, let's see. No thing, oh, one rejection. 2 out of 3 aren't bad, let's see. Did you get one of those? Did you get one of those? Here we go. Oh look, everyone gets one. Let's see. All right. Yes. Look at that. He's taking it. There you go. All right. So that's how easy it is to give these things away to complete strangers. Look at that. There she goes. She's a good law-abiding citizen, so she won't be throwing that on the ground. Look at that. She is going to put it in her purse. Oh yes. Look at that. There you go. You know, maybe she's not going to read it now, but she'll read it later. So this is how easy it is to give these things away. All right, so all these people are checking it out, and these people have the gospel in their hand. There you go. Another fine day of giving out tracts, and we're just getting started. Now Clint here, he is a missionary, and that's why he has an African missionary's hat. Because if you're going to be a missionary on the streets, you might as well look like one. All right, so we've been going at it, handing out tracts all day, getting into one-on-one conversations with people. And here's Clint. He's still giving out tracts here, and something kind of unique just happened to him. I want him to tell you what just happened. All right, Clint. So what just happened to you?
Well, a little while ago, I gave a man a tract, and people are just walking by taking tracts. Some of them are stopping to talk, but this man took a tract, kept going. And then a few minutes later, he came back and he said, "Whoever gives me one of these, I give him one of these." And he gave me a $2 bill. And I said, "No, that's not necessary. You don't have to do that." And he said, "I want to do it. So we will use that towards more tracts." So I didn't get his name, an anonymous donor.
So it pays to spread out tracts, doesn't it?
Right. It pays eternal rewards.
It can be a lot of fun handing out tracts. I love handing out tracts.
And I like the way Eddie edited that.
And Eddie did edit it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. Fun.
Okay. So get out there. You got events in your community like that. Maybe you don't have large places where people gather all the time, but maybe you have special events in your area. Car shows and things like that. Parades. St. Patrick's Day is coming up here this week.
We have tracks that are applicable for different things. Some places they're applicable just to set up a tent with a IQ test. A lot of people do that. We've got the big banner that goes with that, and they always get reports back that it's actually a lot of fun. And a lot of people hear the gospel.
Yeah.
Can we reveal the track that we're working on right now yet?
The Dale Earnhardt.
That track.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Did
yeah.
we? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, Ray, maybe this hasn't been decided. I don't know, but is that track going to be produced just for this special event, or we plan on making that available?
I think it's one that's going to be made available because it
Okay.
to me, it just seems an exciting
There are
track to get
millions
out.
of people out there who love NASCAR, and there are a lot of evangelists going out to the races. And I think a Dale Earnhardt track it'll just fly.
Well,
flat on
we'll do a
people's
small
hands.
print to begin with because of the economy, and if people want it, then we'll just go for a bigger print.
Hey, and you know what? You can email us at onthebox@livingwaters.com and just let us know. I like the idea of that track. That's something I would use.
That's a good idea.
We appreciate input like that. It helps us to decide what tracks we're going to publish and which ones aren't. Now, Ray, I asked you about writing tracks several years ago, and you may not remember what you said. So, but you gave me some very sage advice when deciding what tracks we're going to actually make available at Living Waters. You said to me, "Is it a track that I would use?"
Yeah. Yeah, well, we learned our lesson. Mark Spence had a great idea. He did the praying cards, which is a pack of cards. He had this idea that looks like genuine cards, but instead of playing cards, they had praying cards on it. The inside cards were authentic-looking cards, and the colourful side on this side had a gospel message. And you just say to someone, "Pick any card you wish," and people would pick cards and say, "See you later." And it was a fun thing. I didn't use it. I wouldn't use something like that. And Mark says he wouldn't use something like that, and then nobody else did. And it
okay.
absolutely flopped.
So
but it was a good
panned out.
idea, but flopped.
Yeah.
And so it came back to the criteria. If I would use it, if Mark would use it, if you would use it, then we're born of the same spirit, and we have the same zeal and desire to reach the lost. And so if we would use it, other people seem to use it too.
Yeah.
So the $1 million bill has kind of shown that.
That's right. So again, let us know what you think about a Dale Earnhardt Sr. $1 million bill track that we're producing for the big NASCAR race here on the 25th and the 26th at onthebox@livingwaters.com. All right, we got about 5 or 6 minutes left. We'll take a couple more questions from the mailbag. This one came from Allie in Texas. Allie, her last name's Crawford, Tim and Allie Crawford, wonderful friends of the ministry. They lead Lost Cause Ministries out there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas, and Tim serves as a team leader at the academy, and they were gracious enough to let me stay in their lovely home while I was out there in Texas speaking at a conference, and they have neat dogs. And they have this tiny little dog that thinks it's a cat, sits up on top of the
It
couch.
doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't think it's a cat. If you asked it, that cat's
Well,
the
okay,
enemy.
All right, okay.
Cat
But
is an enemy.
it acts like a
That's
cat.
better.
Acts like a cat. And then they have this Great Dane pup at about 90 to 100 pounds that likes to lean against you until you fall over. They're both dogs, right? Right? They're both dogs. Anyways, this
So
question,
they've got a Great Dane.
they have a Great Dane,
I'm-
and then they have a little tiny Pomeranian.
At the
They're
moment,
both dogs.
I'm violating the 10th commandment because a Great Dane is one of the greatest witnessing
Yeah.
tools you could have. You go public with a Great Dane, and strangers will come up to you and say, "What's his name?" Da, da, da.
Right, sure.
And I'd like to get a Saint Bernard. No, other people, and
So
just when people come out and say, "You know,
If
what sort of
Sue's
dog
wa-
this?"
what would Sam think of a Saint Bernard?
He would probably be stomped
Sam is
on.
their
But
Bichon
you see, the
Frise.
Saint Bernard would be great because people come up and say, "You know, this is a Saint Bernard. You know what a saint is?" And you're straight into the gospel.
There you go. So, Maria, I'll be bringing home a Saint Bernard today.
They take a lot of food and there's a lot of exit. So
Yeah, I take a lot of food and a lot of. Anyways.
The
All right,
question.
the question. All right, the question from Allie.
oh dear.
What do you think about taking young children with you to witness at abortion clinics? How young is too young?
I think it depends on the safety of the situation. That's what I mean. It's good to take them along with you, but if it could, and sometimes it isn't safe at abortion clinics, I would think twice about it.
Yeah, and oftentimes the imagery that is used outside of abortion clinics can certainly be traumatic for young children. Now, we have some wonderful friends in the ministry who use some graphic images outside of abortion clinics. They find that to be very, very effective. But I've also seen the flip side of that. I was out open air preaching in Glendale one evening. I had my then, 13 or 14-year-old daughter a few years ago with me, and someone came out with a 6-foot sign of an aborted baby and spent all evening arguing abortion. I never heard them actually get to the gospel. And at one
Yeah.
point, a man walked by and literally picked up his little girl, shielded her eyes, and said, "This isn't working. This isn't working." And the little girl was crying. So, yeah, if that kind of imagery is going to be used outside the clinic, I wouldn't take small children into an environment like that.
Right, that's a good point.
Chad, any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not a parent, but if you think about it, here's the operative question here: is like, is there an age? And I would say no. There's no specific age, that you could take your children out or not take your children out, and it's going to be up to the parents. And those are two very good things to take into consideration: the safety of the children. Is there going to be somebody that's hostile out there? Last weekend during open air, we had a regular guy show up that tends to be on drugs, and he's hostile. You never know what this guy's going to do. And it makes me feel uncomfortable for anyone that's got a wife out there because he's being cruel, towards women. And the same would go at an abortion clinic. What if you get somebody that just goes off the hook and starts flipping out on you and your family? You've got little children around you. You got to take into consideration, I might be willing to risk myself, but what if my child gets in the middle of that? And, what age are you going to teach your children, how things work exactly? Because they ought to know how things work if you're going to be going out there and talking about abortion. I know I didn't learn probably until like 12 years old or so, maybe a little bit older than that. I had no idea how the whole, child thing worked, the birthing goes. So, make sure your children know what that is, whatever age you feel like, it's okay to share that with them. And the safety. So those are the two things.
All right.
Not
Some
there.
sage advice from a guy who will be a dad someday.
A potential
Does-
parent.
day.
Aubrey knows that, right?
Aubrey, they call this thing. It's called the team guy curse. And
oh.
Navy SEALs, they're called team guys.
Yeah,
So
it was the same in Detective Bureau.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And a lot of my platoon mates, they seem to only have girls. Girls. Whenever they have children, it's all girls. And so Aubrey's like, I hope you get the team guy curse. Obviously, we don't really believe in curses, but it's just kind of a joke
But,
that goes around. So probably going to have a bunch of girls.
In Detective Bureau, we had one guy. His name's Joe.
Sorry.
He's a wonderful brother in Christ, and he and his wife Tanya had decided when they got married that they were going to wait 5 years to have their children. Well, when we were all working together in the gang unit, there was one point where there were 3 of us on the team whose wives were all pregnant at the same time, and he did everything but wear a mask, when he was around us, because he thought for sure he was going to catch that, and they were actually able to wait the 5 years. Hey, we are about out of time, but since we had to do a recorded broadcast, gonna call an audible, and we're gonna take a couple more questions and give you a couple bonus minutes.
Quick
of time.
disclaimer.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with having little girls.
That's
Not saying there's
good.
anything wrong
You know,
with it,
hey, good call. Especially since I have to go home
Way
to a
too
wife
late.
and 3 daughters.
It's way too late,
Yeah.
guys. You have put your
I
foot in your mouth.
I
would be
love
happy.
raising daughters.
very
I,
happy.
you know,
But every guy, he wants a boy to bring up, teach him some baseball and protect his sisters. I'd like to have a boy first, so you can protect his sisters.
And you don't have to pay for the wedding.
Oh, thanks, Ray, for that subtle reminder. Well, I've already decided. As far as the weddings go, whichever of my daughters is married first, In-N-Out will be catering.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Bring out the truck, maybe put some ribbon around the truck or something.
I'll come to that
You know,
wedding.
there's actually a lot of people doing that now. I've seen several weddings where the reception was In-N-Out burger at a park. So,
Like it.
yeah. Okay. All right, the next question. This is from Grant from Manitoba, Canada. I like your street evangelizing approach with the 10 Commandments, but was wondering if you also used other techniques to witness to people.
That's a loaded question. 10 Commandments is not a technique, it's a
Right.
foundation. There's the foundation to build the gospel upon, but there's windows for people to see in, and we use different techniques, such as trivia questions to draw a crowd, etc. Colorful tracks to get people's attention, to give them light and bring them close. So, and we use the, what's that thing called? The magnet?
The lie detector.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, which you developed.
Yeah.
The gospel is always the same. It can be presented in different ways, certainly. So if that's what you mean by technique, you can open air preach, you can do one-to-one evangelism, you can distribute tracts, you can proclaim the gospel online, you can do it on television show like this. But the gospel is always the gospel, and we have to bring a person to the knowledge of their sin, and God has given us his law to do that. Chad, what do you think?
It's the biblical equation, law and grace. And, we get it. We understand. We were just talking about this today in a meeting, that there is this tendency, this feeling, once you learn how to use the law, to say, okay, what now? You want to learn more. But you don't outgrow the gospel. You don't outgrow using the law and then transitioning over into the good news and grace. So what you can add to is learn how to come up with better, ready responses to people's questions when they throw a curveball at you. But you better be coming back to using the law and the gospel. That's what Jesus did. It's what the apostles did. It's the biblical equation.
Yeah,
So.
and that's one of the reasons why this show exists, is to give you additional tools in your war bag. The Way of the Master, Living Waters, we teach the foundational message of law to the proud, grace to the humble, using a law to bring a person to the knowledge of their sin, and then sharing with them the cross. But here on the show, we try to answer as many questions we can about different ways to get that message out.
Right.
And so, if you're new to the program, all of our shows are archived at Ustream, and that channel will be up pretty soon again.
Probably.
Also on our YouTube channel and LightSource and OnePlace.com. And before we go to our last question, Chad, you got something else?
Well, just a little rule of thumb that I also want to share with folks out there, too, is I tend to like to try and share the law and the gospel first and then take questions afterwards. If somebody has an objection that they want to try and throw in the middle, take a moment to say, I would love to answer your question. I'm not trying to prove to you right now that what I'm saying is true. I'm just trying to tell you, what I believe, and then afterwards I'd like to take your question. So that way you can get a sort of coherent message across to them. Otherwise, it becomes really scattered. And just some encouragement to you folks out there. The common objections that you come across out there on the street, really sit down, think about these things. It's like Mark Spence says, study the last question asked.
Right.
Certain questions are going to come up, so don't be surprised by it. Think about it before you go out there. Come up with some ready responses, what you would say if they said this, and post it on the internet. Send it to us. Help others out there. That's what we're supposed to be doing. As iron sharpens iron, so shall one man sharpen another. So let's help each other get ready for this thing. Send in your videos and your tips and tricks along the way.
There you go. All right, this last question is from Hessian. We've answered a couple of her questions before. She's from Trinidad and Tobago, and we love seeing questions and comments come in from people outside the United States. It's just a real encouragement to us. But this question, I think, is very, very important, and here's what it is. Something's been stirring in my heart for a long time. I know you've witnessed for years, and I've only done so for less than 2 months, and it was this show that has helped to launch her into sharing the gospel in a biblical way. But I want to ask, do you ever feel worthy of the gospel that you proclaim? Do you ever feel that you're worthy of carrying those precious words of life?
No, of course not. But it doesn't really need to come in the equation. A firefighter who rescues someone from a burning building doesn't need to ask himself, is he worthy to do this noble deed? He just does it. So don't condemn yourself or feel as though you don't come up to a particular standard. Besides, the people that are being rescued couldn't care less what the firefighter thinks of himself. The fact that he does it is what matters. So never condemn yourself. Just thank God that he's made you righteous in his sight and he's called you to a noble task.
Yeah. None of us are worthy to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. None of us are worthy to be saved by that same gospel. And I know there are people out there who are burdened for the lost. They want to share the gospel in a biblical way. Maybe they're wrestling with one sin issue or another, and they feel like until they have overcome that sin issue, they shouldn't go out and share the gospel. John Piper shared some wisdom in that area. He said, look, if you are thinking that your motives for going out and sharing the gospel aren't what they should be, repent and go share the gospel.
Right.
But don't stop, sharing the gospel. But yeah, anybody I think who's out there and says, "Yep, I'm worthy to stand on this box. I'm worthy to hand out these tracts,"
is not
worthy. Right? They have an issue with pride, and they need to. And that's probably one sin that should keep you from getting up on the box, most certainly. But we are all unworthy vessels that the Lord, by His grace, chooses to use for His glory.
Unprofitable servants. Chad would like to say something. I feel in my spirit.
Okay.
Well, just talking about this just now, I'm kind of reminded of a Peter moment, where he's sort of, denied Jesus a few times, and Jesus comes back, and he says, "Peter, do you love me?" And he repeats it. I think it's like three times. Do you love me? And could you just imagine how Peter's feeling? So unworthy at that moment. And Jesus says, go feed my sheep. Go tend them.
Yeah.
That's what he wants us to do. It's the commandment. Get out there. Proclaim the gospel. Share the truth. So
You stole your last line.
That's okay.
You can say it again, can't
we
you?
share it, yeah.
Okay.
All right, we are out of time. We're over time. We hope the little extra time on the show today will be a blessing to you once you're able to watch it. Should be up on Ustream and YouTube here very shortly.
Well, they'll be watching it now, won't they, when they see it?
Well, yeah, exactly. So on behalf of Ray and Chad, we want to thank you for joining us for another edition of On the Box. Join us tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time, live. We're counting on Ustream being working by then. Until then, be encouraged, be strengthened, and unafraid. Proclaim the gospel. We'll see you tomorrow. You're full of it!
Living Waters presents On the Box.